Welcome into Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here. We Brainstorming America is the name of the show. Got a little ahead of myself. Y'all already knew that when you saw me, though. And I'm here with John Merrill. John, good to see you, brother.
It's always my pleasure.
Yeah, always riding the roads. You folks ever out there on Highway 21 or 431? You like that 431?
I like every road in the state, brother, and I know them all.
No, 431's got a different significance now. Fourth down, 31 to go. They said they done changed the highway numbers. Down here in Oxford, somebody said they really got done that fast. You know, they make these T-shirts before the game, the last play. Well, here they are. They already got signed. Man, these guys really swift, ain't they? Highway 431 stands for the
One of my friends sent me a text message and said his favorite scripture now was Isaiah 4:31. The only problem is there's only 5 verses in the chapter.
That could be any scripture. That could be Psalms. Anyhow, let's get back to some giving the people some information. Here's something that you hear a lot about is TikTok. I know that y'all heard about what TikTok is a great influence. I'm not going to take a side one way or the other because my daughter's addicted to it, and she gets a lot of information. I've got it on my phone. It pops up some funny stuff. But when I'm feeling depressed, I'll hit TikTok because it got a lot of crazy stuff on it. But TikTok posted about 9/11 about the message that bin Laden was a hero. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, they posted information about how the 911 was, that America was the guilty party, that bin Laden was a hero to all, and then Allah, in it with Allah Akbar. A young girl had 18 million views on it, on TikTok, and kids from everywhere were saying, "We told you so, we told you." You know, it's just how easy they are to be led, that they were even in some places getting marches set up to protest it, till it got, I don't know if TikTok did it, but somebody got on there and squelched it for cut the tone down anyhow. But it was a big item for a while, and I said, where are we going to? Just something, a message that comes across TikTok that showed that.
And that's only been 22 years ago, Ken, so that's very frightening that in that period of time, you've lost a young generation in basically even understanding the significance of what happened September the 11th, 2001.
If they were born, they'd be 1, 2, or 3 years old, or 2. So I have to keep that in mind, too, that they're easily led. If you wanted to, you got a group out there that you want to lead, that they're so gullible on a lot of things. But another thing, I don't know if you're paying attention to it, I don't know if how it's going to affect us. But I remember when the mountain erupted in Washington State.
Yeah, Mount St. Helens.
I lived in Tennessee. My car would be covered with ashes. This went on for a year. And I'm in Tennessee, and that's way up there. Now we're talking about Iceland, the entire country at risk. Can you imagine that for the whole? They are worrying about not just the volcano erupting and taking out a little bit of things. They're trying to taking everything out. So people need, if you got any interest in that. As always, when I landed there, coming out of Germany, Iceland had some of the greenest grass on the mountains and the valleys that I'd ever seen. The greatest, prettiest country you'll ever see. And I thought, boy, Iceland's supposed to look like. And then you go to Greenland, you can't see no grass. It's all snow, everything.
Right.
What's wrong with that picture? Are they just fooling with us?
It does not seem like it goes together, does it?
Sound like a real estate agent out there trying to get people to come.
That's right.
You got all that snow. It's green. It's green. Okay. See where I was at. Oh, yeah. I saw this and I want to ask you your thoughts on it. when these protests are going on in the streets, I look at my calendar sometimes. This is a Monday, or this is a Wednesday, and this is 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're out there protesting. What are they doing about school when this is going on? Have you ever wondered about 15,000 kids out there in the street, all of them from a college, all of them from some schools? What about what they do? They just tell the teacher, I'm going to go protest and get in the street.
Obviously, school is not at the fore of their thoughts about what they need to be doing or how they need to be educated at that particular period of time. What is very disappointing is the fact that the people that should have been investing their lives into these young people's lives at that particular time have obviously failed them and helped to fail the communities in which they live in order for them to have that level of misunderstanding about how they should effectively protest and what it actually means.
Well, and then they were laying in the street blocking the parade, the Christmas parade. If I'd have been there,
and glued their hands to the streets. And
yeah.
I told my wife, I said, I can tell you how to stop that. I said, you take that glued hand and you just get the law enforcement professionals to physically remove the hand that is adhesively secured to the street. And when it pulls out all of the skin that is actually left on the street, that'd be the last time they do that, because they're not going to be able to functionally use that appendage anymore.
Well, if I'd have been
Roll
there,
Tide.
If I'd have been there, you'd have heard boom, 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 boom.
No doubt.
After I backed up.
No doubt. And we hope that you'll take just a minute. Don't glue your hand to the stove or to the table, but come back and join us after this first break on this week's Brainstorming America.
Welcome back to Brainstorming America. We John Merrill here. We talking about the events of today, things that you need to be aware of, and if you've seen some of it on TV, we're going to go in depth of it a little bit more. Did you know that your president just spent $20 billion? Money goes to Iran for the. It's going to go for these people to teach these proxies how to hate America and how to throw grenades and make bombs and that kind of thing for the younger generation, because that's what they're saying is for the younger generation. But that's $20 billion, our money. This is, when I say our money, this is money that was taken from Iran for violations of laws in the past. So it's our money. They violated our laws. So anyhow, that money's going there. They're paying these people to do what they did on October the 7th. What's your thoughts?
I'm really, really disappointed that the president would want our country to have anything to do with those people who were responsible for the damage, the loss of life, the utter chaos that's been created of the events related to October the 7th. But I can't say that I'm surprised.
Yeah. We had a guest last week, Bill Partridge, the chief of, I say last week, a couple weeks ago, whatever, but he was chief police of Oxford, and I saw something that got my interest. Was the I don't know if you've seen this, the DA Gaston of Los Angeles. He's got this thing that people don't need to go to jail. He don't think jail is the answer for anything, and if they do go to jail, before he can get to them, he wants them out immediately. And one guy had been in jail. He had 18 violations, or 18 felonies, and he had beat up an elderly couple and stole everything they had worth anything. And they let him out. And he said, that was one of them, he said, putting him in jail was not the answer, because we've done it 18 times. Well, I think it'll be 19 with a lot more, or something you're going to do.
Well, you have to have a plan, Ken, and I do think that it is important as we visit the issue related to incarceration and the issue related to criminal justice and social justice, because that's a hot topic of today. But I will have to say this, one of the things that I heard former Alabama Chief Justice Sue Bell Cobb say is that as far as penal reform is concerned or civil justice reform is concerned, we need to quit putting people in jail that we're mad at and just put people in jail that we're afraid of. And I think that has a lot of validity to it. But I do think we have to have a method for making sure that when people are actually committing crimes against individuals or crimes against society, that they actually are responsible for those crimes that they've been convicted of, and that they have to pay for the crimes that they've committed. Sometimes it may be incarceration, but not always. And I also think it's important to remember we don't necessarily need to put people in jail just so they'll have a place to stay with 3 square meals a day, access to televisions, access to exercise equipment, access to all the things that many of us have to pay for to enjoy each and every day. But I do think the people that commit criminal activities against individuals or against society, they have to pay. We have to find a way for them to pay that hurts them and what they're actually doing, to make sure that they know that they're responsible, they're going to be charged for it, and they're going to be responsible for paying their debt that they owe society, period.
Being a friend of Sue Bell, I disagree with her thoughts on that. But instead of somebody you don't like or somebody you're afraid of, law enforcement is to correct the issue by whatever means necessary. And I know that in the military, we had people that, as a platoon sergeant, I want them to respect me, but they also, fear comes into there. If you're not afraid of getting in trouble, people will go on and do things. But
let me give you an example of what I'm talking about that may make it a little bit clearer, especially with what Justice Cobb was introducing. One of the things that I struggled with is when we were talking about people that actually broke the voting laws, that they committed voter fraud and actually crimes against the state by doing that. But the question on whether or not those people actually needed to be incarcerated, and we had 7 people that were convicted of voter fraud when I was the Secretary of State from 2015 to 2023. But the question about whether or not those people actually needed to be in jail or whether or not they need to be punished another way is one that needs to have some discussion. For example, do they need to be incarcerated, or do they just simply need to lose their right to vote for a specific period of time? Do they need to lose the right to serve on a board? Do they need to lose the right to be able to run for elective office? Do they need to lose the right to serve in an appointed position? Do they need to be able to pay a fine or a fee to show that what they did was wrong and they are responsible for it? They have to be accountable. If you make them have to pay at some level where it hurts them on what they were trying to do, then the message can be better received than it can sometimes if they're actually incarcerated. Now, speaking of all of those things, I think it's very important for you to know and to realize that we don't want you to be trapped in front of your TV. We know that you spend time each and every week voluntarily watching our show and listening to the things that we're introducing to you. So we hope you'll use this 2-minute break we're giving you and join us again for the final segment of this week's episode of Brainstorming America.
Welcome back to Brainstorming America. I only have some things I want to give you before we miss out of here this week. Some stuff that you should know. Be prepared for your when you get your taxes in May. If you're a homeowner, look out at your escrow. Mine went up, and I had an argument with my mortgage company, and they assured me that I'm just one of millions that's going to find that same thing when they get their taxes this year. Mine went up $100, enough for me to catch my eye that my insurance company had to add it to because they pay my escrow. So be sure and pay attention there and give old Joe Biden a salute, because he got you again right there. And John, have you bought any lumber lately?
No, sir. But my mother did when she had a deck constructed, and it's unbelievable.
Well, my daughter's deck needed to be replaced. So I went to Lowe's. I got the guy at Lowe's who builds decks for a living, but he works at Lowe's. I told him I needed a deck, X by X numbers. He put it out in the computer. You'll need this many 2x4s, this many 2x6s, et cetera, and that'll be 2,000 so-and-so. He printed it out, signed it, his name on it. He said, when you get ready to buy it, bring that in here. Month and a half later, I go in with that ticket and a guy out there with a truck to load it. I hand that to him and he gave me the bill. It's $3,400. And you were nearly $1,000. It was $800 and something dollars, nearly $900 more in a month and a half. And that is what people that are in the building business and the people that's in the real estate selling homes. I talked to a realtor yesterday, a friend of my daughter's, and in line at Winn-Dixie. She said because of the cost of lumber and other things, you can't sell houses. We can't find one that fit into people's prices, are they? I'm not going to give her names, but I don't want to knock her sales. But she said, I just can't sell anything because we can't find anybody that can afford to buy these because it costs so much to build them. And say, why is a house $350,000 when it used to be $275,000 to $3,000? And you're talking $50,000 to $100,000 difference. It's because of the inflation.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what the mortgage company told me, or it's what Allstate told me about. So the state of Alabama on the escrow has added that on your state tax.
Yes, sir.
So people going to be hurting a lot of different ways. I saw that groceries were up 24%. The overall grocery bill up 24%. Gas is up 37%. Whew, nothing but bad news on that one. I think I need to go. The windmills. Do you see what happened to the windmills? The company making the windmills up on the East Coast that's killing all the whales. They are going out of business because they can't afford to furnish the windmills for Biden, and Biden has proposed putting in a $250,000 more along that East Coast. It's going to kill them. He's not worried about the whale. And I am old enough to remember when the Save the Whale was out there. So anytime you got electricity, we used to go as young boys, go to the Coosa River and with an old grinding telephone that would shoot off electricity, drop it in the water and watch the fish come to the top. Right. So if you got big windmills in there, you got a one wire loose, you're going to kill. Well, they said what it's doing is disorienting the whales. They don't know where to go this way or that way.
Well, because they operate through a sonar that is like a radar under the sea that directs them where they need to go, and they are misdirected by the artificial noise and artificial sound and artificial mechanisms that are created by the windmill.
Well, they also sent several dealers. They didn't say how many. They just said the network news said that several dealers have sent a letter to your president saying they will no longer be building electronic cars. Those are big dealers. Lexus was one of them. And they are no longer doing it because they got parking lots full of them that nobody will buy. And they don't know when they come to this mandate how many people is going to have the money to buy $60,000 automobiles. And so they've already built a bunch of inventory that they can't sell. And so I wouldn't be building any more myself either. I mean, common sense tells you that. But the letters, you'll be hearing about that because that was Friday, I think, letters.
Yes, sir.
Went out to the...
Well, as we've talked about before, Ken, these issues related to electric cars, related to windmill construction, related to all of the different types of artificial power constraints or energizers, are all related to the government and the government's desire to see those things constructed, as opposed to the free market determining how those things are introduced and at what level they're consumed by the individuals that live in the 50 states. It's important to remember that the success that we've seen in America's past related to industrial revolution, related to innovative technologies, have all been generated by the private sector. That will continue to be that way. It's not generated by the government or by government mandates or government edicts.
Well, talking about the prices, before I got into it, I wanted to say the Thanksgiving meal that we just went through, it was 15% more than the year before. Of course, I already said the gas is up 37%, and milk that I noticed, my milk, is 17% higher. All meats, 47%. My daughter was going to get a roast at Winn-Dixie the other day. She picked it up, and that roast that she used to get for $9, $27. She wanted to put one in a crock pot. She's a skilled cook when she gets the crock pot. So the price going from $9 to $27, 3 times, right? That's
well, one of the things that our viewers can be relaxed about is that it's not costing you any more to watch the next episode of Brainstorming America. We hope you'll join us again next week for another interesting and exciting episode.